Okay, I still see some people joining, but we have a lot of content to cover today, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Megan Peasley, and I'm the Iowa Sourceling Program Coordinator at the University of Northern Iowa's John Papa John Entrepreneurial Center. Here, we work with the Iowa Economic Development Authority to bring the Iowa SourceLink platform to all business owners. Whether you're looking to start, grow, fund, or even exit your business, Iowa SourceLink is here to help you. We provide step by step guides, make helpful referrals to our nearly 400 partners, and house the Business License Information Center. We also have the pleasure of presenting these webinars in partnership with the Iowa Department of Revenue. In today's webinar, Jerica Pellington and Chubb Crabtree will be providing an introduction to the licensing updates and new capabilities in GovConnectIowa. We also have Tara West joining us today, and she'll be answering any questions that you have in the Q&A box. Before we get into that, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. First, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available within the next week. You will receive a link to today's recording in the same email that you will receive as proof of your attendance. The slides for today's webinar will be shared momentarily in the chat box by Haley Ham. Haley and I will be sharing other resources and contact information if and when they're brought up during the webinar in the chat box. Finally, please enter any questions that you have into the Q&A box located in the bottom half of your screen. We do ask that you focus on asking general questions that could apply to everyone. If you have a question specific to your situation, we recommend that you talk to the Iowa Department of Revenue directly. Now, we have a lot of content to get over today, so we're going to hold off on answering any questions that come through until the very end. And if we don't get into all of the questions, we're going to share them with the Iowa Department of Revenue to follow up with you. However, you have the ability to ask anonymous questions in the Q&A box, and if we don't get to your question and it is anonymous, we're not going to be able to follow up with you, so just keep that in mind. And with that, that's all the housekeeping items that I have to go over. So, Jerica and Chuck, I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello to all of you. My name is Jerica, and of course, we have Chuck and Tara with us today. We will go ahead and get started here. So if you have ever been to one of our webinars before, you know that we have to start with this disclaimer. The information in this presentation is the informal opinion of the department, and the department could take a different position in the future. So I'll pause for just a moment so that you can read through this disclaimer. All right. So going through our agenda, here's a quick look at what we'll be covering today. So we'll start with an overview of our system modernization journey. We'll talk about what's ahead for the department. We'll introduce you to GovConnect Iowa, and then we'll share some updates from the alcohol licensing team and walk through some changes that you may experience. Then at the end, we will highlight the resources available to help support you. And if we have time at the end, we will wrap up with a live Q&A session. So like she had said, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box at any time, and Tara will do her best to answer them as we go, or we will answer them after. So I wanted to take a moment to walk you through the modernization timeline and how we got to where we are today. So I won't spend a lot of time on this here, but it is important to know about how we got to 2025 and how we ultimately came to this decision. So it all started in 2019. The Department of Revenue was operating with 22 aging systems, and maintaining all of them required a lot of resources, time, tech support, funding, you name it. So in 2019, we kicked off with what we called our modernization journey, and that started by documenting all of the system requirements, identifying what the long-term goals were. So then in 2020, we began what we called the procurement process, which is where we found a vendor to help us build that system. And in that same year, we partnered with three agencies. So what was the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division, the Iowa Lottery, and the Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals, which is now the Iowa Department of Inspections, Appeals, and Licensing. So together, we created a one-stop portal, which is known as GovConnectIowa. And ultimately, what that name reflects is the goal of how we as a state government want to connect and serve Iowans. So since then, we have worked on launching new features every year. So each one was shaped by feedback from our users, our subject matter experts, and ultimately following the industry best practices and laws that we have to follow. And then you can see the orange button in the middle. So in 2023, the governor signed the alignment bill, which consolidated several state agencies. And as a result, the state's three revenue generating agencies, so the Iowa Department of Revenue, the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division, and the Iowa Lottery, were combined under a single department. So then fast forward to 2025. That's when we added a new milestone, and that was the launch of the online alcohol and lottery licensing portion, which we'll dive into a little bit later today. So I wanted to give you this overview to let you know where we started and how we got here and what we call Rollout 5. So we are currently in that blue area, which we call continuous improvement. And what that really means is that our focus is shifting toward improving, refining those processes that we have developed, and also making sure that they're sustainable both for you as an Iowan, but also for our staff. So just wanted to give you that overview and where we're at. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about GovConnect Iowa. I'll walk you through some of the awesome features it has. I'll show you how it works and give you a sense of what to expect the first time you log in. I'll try to keep it simple here. One of my favorite features about GovConnect Iowa is that it's responsive to whatever device you are on, whether it's a computer, a mobile device, or a tablet. You can use this to access GovConnect Iowa. You will see that I do have computer marked as recommended. And the reason why is because it is a larger screen, and that is where a lot of the activity is meant to happen. Now, you can use a lot of these on a mobile device. However, it is best suited for a computer. So we'll talk about getting started on GovConnect Iowa. So there are three links that you will want to be familiar with. So the first one, govconnect.iowa.gov, that takes you directly to the GovConnect Iowa portal that you can see on the screen. That second link takes you to information about the portals that are available. And then the third one points to our main GovConnect Iowa information page. So this is where you can find step-by-step instructions, guides. If we have updates to give you, that's where you'll find that. Now, looking at the GovConnect Iowa homepage, this is your starting point. If you haven't created a GovConnect Iowa account yet, you will find the option to sign up on the right-hand side under that white sign in with a passkey button. And then once you sign up, you'll be able to request access, which we'll talk about in a moment. One newer addition that we have to the homepage is this featured services section. So this is a really useful spot where we highlight the most common services that are accessed on GovConnect Iowa. So things like checking the status of your tax refund, if you need to make a payment, if you're looking for information about registering a new business, you can see that here. So next I'll show you what kinds of things you can do on GovConnect Iowa without creating an account. As you can see from the screenshot is that there is a lot you can do without even logging in. So this will give you a sense of how many tools and resources are available without logging in. For those of you that work with alcohol licensing, some of the most useful options that you'll see here is respond to a letter. So if you get a letter from us, you do have the ability to respond online. Underneath the additional services panel on the bottom, you will see a link that says search for a license. This will take over the public licensing database that you were familiar with before. And then you'll also see that we have a link called submit a complaint about a business. This is where anyone can come in, and if they see anything that is suspicious that they'd like to report, any complaints about lottery, alcohol, or tobacco operations, they can report that here through GovConnect Iowa. And another link that may be important to you is search alcohol enforcement actions. This is where you will be able to see if there are any enforcement actions against a licensee. So, one panel that is important to you here is the resources one. This is a great go to help you find quick answers, helpful information. We'll touch on these a little bit later, but just know that there's a lot at your fingertips before you even have to sign in. At the bottom of the portal, we do have additional information here. So, one thing that you'll definitely want to keep in mind is that your online session will time out after 30 minutes of inactivity, and any unsaved information will be lost. So, what that means is that if you're in the middle of completing an application or a renewal, we recommend that you try to save as you go. It is a small detail, but it can save you from having to start over, and we want to help you avoid that frustration. So, if you know that you're going to take longer than 30 minutes, we recommend saving it just to be safe. One important thing on GovConnectIowa is the chatbot. So I'll introduce you to someone very special. This is the Colonel. So he is our chatbot, our unofficial mascot. He is a corn cob, and his joke is that, yes, he's all ears. He is available 24/7 to answer your questions and help you out. You can go in to GovConnectIowa. You can find him in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and he is pre-programmed, which means that staff here at IDR specifically wrote the answers that you will see on the screen. So he's not necessarily AI generated. He can't give you specific answers about your licenses, about letters that you receive, about your situation, but he can help you navigate GovConnectIowa and answer your general licensing questions. So when we talk about GovConnectIowa, we really found that there are three keys to success, and we will talk through them. So the first one is to create a logon. So that's creating your GovConnectIowa profile. One important thing to know is that each person should have their own logon credentials. This is a really good example of where sharing is not caring. Here we want to protect your information and help you do that. And a way to do that is to have your own profile. The second one is to connect to your account. So this means connecting to your license. We will show you in a few slides how you can do that using your information. And then third, once you have created it and you've connected, then you can conduct your business. So we will walk through number one, which is creating a new GovConnectIowa account. So when you're ready to connect to your license and start using the full features of GovConnectIowa, the first step that you do is create that GovConnectIowa profile. So you can see here with the red arrow, this is where you go, where you get started. It's right on the home page. We hope it's easy for you to find, and it's pretty straightforward. I will tell you that GovConnectIowa does use two-step verification, and we also now allow passkey. So if you use passkey on your mobile devices, your computer, you can use that as well. So we'll walk through what that looks like on the next slide so that way you know exactly what to expect. So on the first step, you can see up at the top where they have those little breadcrumbs with the check marks. The first one is to sign up. That is where you enter in your username, your email, your personal information, and then account security. That's where you go in and you enter in that secret question that you have, like what was the color of your first car? You can select that there. And the third one is two-step verification. So this is that extra layer of security to help protect your information. So you can see here that you have a few different options. You can either use an authentication app, you can use your phone, your email, or you could use a passkey. Anyone wondering what a passkey is, you feel free to Google that, but I will tell you that it's basically a secure passwordless option that can help make logging in quicker and easier. The awesome part is that if you select one of these, you can go in and update them at any time after your account's created. You can set up all four of them. You can set up two phones if you want. It is at your discretion, and you can do what works best for you. So once your account is created, you will be prompted to log in right away. But then when you log in the second time, you're going to see a set of two screens. So the first one is on that home screen. That's where you're going to enter in your username. And then when you click log in, you'll be prompted to enter your password on the next screen. So this is a two-step login, but it will be easier to use as you get familiar with the system. If you do forget your username or your password, no worries there. You can actually take care of that yourself by clicking either the forgot username or the forgot password links that are right on the screen. You don't need to call us to reset that for you, but we are able to assist you if you do. To reset either one, you will need to know either the email address associated with the account or those secret questions that you set up when you created your profile. So, again, no need to call support. It is self service, but we are here if you need us. So then this is what it looks like when you log in for the first time. So what you will see is this get started panel. So this is front and center, and you will see that there are four main options in this panel. And this is us trying to help you get connected to your account. Most of you will be using one of the first three. And so we have request access. This is where you'll go if you already have a license and you just need to connect it to your new GovConnectIowa account. We have enter an access code. So this is if you received a code in the mail, this is where you would enter it. And the third one is if you're just getting started with your business, you haven't applied for a license before, you're brand new to the Iowa Department of Revenue, this is where you would go in and you would register your business. The last one is bulk filer registration. This one is very uncommon, but it is available for users who file on behalf of multiple businesses. My rule of thumb is that if you have to ask yourself if you're a bulk filer, you're probably not. It's a very technical role that you're in, and you would know. You will see that there are other links and tools that are available on this page, but for alcohol licensing specifically, those four and get started is where you would start, and they'll help you get where you need to go. So let's talk about connecting to your license. So after you have connected to your license here, hold on for just one moment. There we go. Sorry about that. You will be sent to this request access web form. So you will be asked to select the type of access you need. So for license holders and staff that work for the business, the most common option will be business access. And for third parties that don't work for the business directly, they should select other party access. We did include information on the screen to help people decipher which one is the right path for them. And we'll walk through what that would look like next. So, say in the example that you are an employee of a business and you select business access. When you go to the next screen, this is what you would see. You'll have two additional levels to choose from. And so I think of it like a hierarchy. So, full access is at the top of the pyramid. And so that means that it's going to give you the keys to the kingdom. Whereas administrators, they can do all of the basic work on behalf of the business. However, they can't manage the full access users, which oftentimes are the owners of the business. And then once you have selected that access level, you have the option to enter information from a letter that you've received. So, beginning November 3rd of this week, we began sending out a welcome letter, which you'll see is GovConnectIowa is now available. And this is being sent to each alcohol license holder. You can use this letter to come into this request access request, and you can enter in this letter along with your license information, and you will be able to gain access to those alcohol licenses immediately. So if you were looking at this letter, I did highlight what's important for you is you'll see the steps about how to create your logon, how to request access, but you'll also see this letter ID. That is what you will enter into this screen here. And there are instructions available on this screen. If you need guidance, the GovConnectIowa will walk you through that process. So regardless of if you have a letter, yes or no, you will still need to select that account type. So you'll see on the screen here that I had selected alcohol. There is orange text below, and this is important for alcohol license holders. If you select this option to gain access to, even if you have full access, that means that unless you can answer other information about the business, which it will prompt you to do, that means that you'll only have access to alcohol. So if you have another permit, such as a sales and use or withholding permit, it may be better for you to select those first because we have different questions and answers and information that we can verify in our system to give you that immediate access. So you can select either one, but if you get connected and you're like, hey, I only see my alcohol ones, it may be because of what you selected during that process and what we were able to verify. So once you have completed that step, you will get two different pathways. In the circumstance where you don't have enough information up front to gain immediate access, you will see in this what's next section that it will say an access code letter will be mailed. That letter will walk you through what you need to do. If you remember that intern access code, that's when that letter comes into play where you can enter that. But you'll ultimately see two outcomes here. Either you'll gain immediate access and we'll send you that confirmation letter, or we'll need to send you an access code letter to verify your information. If you receive that letter this week, you can use it and you will be able to access your accounts immediately. So I'll move into talking about what it looks like to conduct your business. This is what it looks like when you're connected to your license. So I know that a lot of people are connected already, and you'll start to be familiar with these 4 to 5 tabs that you'll see. I say 4 to 5 because unless you've favorited a license or an account type, you won't see that favorites tab, but I do like to say it here anyway. So that's favorites tab. That shows only the accounts that you've marked as favorites. A lot of people use that for faster access. Like if you know that you're going to file a monthly report, you could favorite that to get it faster. The next tab that you'll see here is the accounts tab. So that will give you a full overview of your accounts with links to actions like license renewals or payments. The Action Center tab, it lists things like unread messages or pending items that need your attention, such as a renewal. The Settings tab lets you control paperless mail options, account access, and your personal settings. And the I Want To tab contains the rest of the options that are available for you. So if you're looking for something such as amending your license, maybe you need to update your ownership information, you will find that on the I Want To tab. So I'll walk through and show you a little bit about what these look like here. So you can see the Accounts tab. This is what it looks like here. So yours may vary based on which accounts your business needs. For example, you could access sales and use, withholding, lottery, alcohol, all within the GovConnectIowa portal, and you would be able to see those here. In this circumstance, you can see that we have access to sales and a Class C alcohol license. You will see that there is an alcohol license status there. And so this shows which stage your license is in, whether it's being reviewed by the local authority, it's in dram shop review, if our licensing team is looking at it, or if it's been approved and it's active. You will be able to see that through this accounts tab. Closer to the time of expiration, you will see a renew license link that shows, and this will allow you to renew your license. The next one that we'll look at here is this I Want To tab. And so with so many options that are available, we added a search filter. And so this is really helpful for a lot of people. So if you know what you're looking for, like for example, you know that you need to amend your license, you can type in a keyword like amend and you are able to pull that up. It will instantly show all of the related links and it will save you time from scrolling through the menus that we have. I do want to highlight a few useful links that you'll see on the screen here. So the first one that I want to call out is the alcohol management panel. So for those of you that used eLabs, this will be important for you. It does look a little bit different here. So for example, you won't see all of the amendment types listed, but if you were to go into that amend a license, you would be able to see those detailed out. This is also where you will be able to unenroll from the automatic renewal program if you are enrolled in it. Another important section here is GovConnectIowa Access. That is the fourth panel. So in the second row, the first one there. And a link that will be important for you is called Manage Others Access. So this lets you quickly grant someone else access to your license. So say, for example, that you have access to your licenses online and you need to give access to someone else, whether it's an employee or it's a third party, you can easily do that through the Manage Others Access link. Another link that's important for you here is the apply for or renew a license or permit. You will notice that that verbiage has changed a little bit since we went live. And the reason why is that that link is only for new applications. So if you are, say that you started a new business, you registered for one license, you need to register for another, you would start at that apply for a license or permit link. And then in the last panel called Update Information, there is a link there that's important to you, and this is called Update Ownership Information. So if you are making changes to your business owners, say that one happens to leave, say that you happen to add a new owner, or say that you need to report criminal history for an owner, that is where you would do it, is through that update ownership information. So this tab is pretty powerful. There's a lot in here. It helps quite a bit when you know what you're looking for. So I would recommend just, browsing through and seeing what is available there. One important piece that I did want to share with you is up in that second panel called correspondence. You will see that there are a few different links available to you. One of them is called send a message. So I went ahead and included a snippet. I highlighted where send a message is, and this is an exciting feature for you. So this tool makes it simple to contact the department directly. So whether you need help with navigating GovConnect Iowa, you have a question about your license, or you want to follow up on maybe something that you sent us, you can do this through the send a message link. And so that you can send us a secure message anytime. No phone call required with this. It is pretty quick, it's pretty convenient, and you can keep all of your communications in one place rather than emailing back and forth. You do have the ability to archive these as well. Maybe if they're resolved and you only want to keep your active ones open, you have a lot of control within the GovConnect Iowa inbox. When you click that send a message link, you will see a list of all of the accounts that you have access to and helping you select the right one, so that we can assist you more. So you'll see on this screen that you have Class E, you have household hazardous materials. If you have a question about that specific account, you can select one of those and that will help us distribute it to the right team. If it doesn't, matter which account it is, you have a question maybe about your headquarters address, you can click this message doesn't concern a specific account. And when you do that, it will actually take you to another screen where you can select your message type. And so you'll see that we have different categories that are available here. You may see that these categories change from time to time. If we figure out, we have a lot of people that are going for this reason in the other category, you may see that we do tailor that. What happens when you click these options is that we do have specialists in the background that are dedicated to each category to help you get the answers you need. So we've worked really hard on making sure that you're getting high quality answers in a timely manner. And this link here and this tool has been able to allow us to do that. So this is what it looks like after you get past those first two screens. So send a message acts really similar to an email. So you will have a subject line and a message body where you can type your question. And it even has a spot for you to add your attachments. So if you'd like, you can include those, and you can also enter in whatever you would enter into an email. Our specialists do respond to quite a few messages within 24 hours. And sometimes you'll even receive those responses within the same day. One important note here is that there is that blue banner at the top of this. You will see this if you go to send us a message. Just know that the department does not accept forms or returns through this feature. So if you're filing a tax return, you do have to file it through the approved method that's listed on that return. So Chuck, I have walked through the beginning portions of GovConnect Iowa. So at this point, I will pass it to you here to talk through the alcohol licensing updates.
Great, thank you, Jerica. Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on in alcohol licensing with this rollout five. So we're going to touch on as many of the things as we can here in a fairly short period of time. Again, it's going to be fairly quick, and you'll have the advantage of having this recording to go back and look at. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to talk first about how do I apply for a new alcohol license. So remember, you've logged into GovConnect. You're at that page where you've got your accounts and you can see, the licenses you have, or maybe you don't have any yet, and you want to apply for another license or your first license. You would click on the I want to, and it would take you to all those boxes that Jerica talked about. And one of them is registration and licensing. And under that, it says apply for a license or permit. Again, it says renew there, but that's been updated. It's just for applying for new licenses or permits. So apply for a new license or permit. And then it would take you to this other box that says select a permit and license types. And again, we're talking about alcohol right now. So you'd go down to the third box that says alcoholic beverages and you check that box. So you're just saying you want to apply for an alcohol license. Then it asks you, you've got certain locations where you've already got your sales and your use permit. So it's asking you which location do you want to apply for which license. And so if you have more than one sales and use permit, you'll see those location addresses listed here. There might be one, two, or three, or none if it's your first license. So you will have to apply for a sales and use permit at that time. But at that location, if there's one there, you would go ahead and select the type of license that you want to apply for. And you would click into that box. The drop down menu with all of our 23 licenses will show up, and you'll pick which one you want to apply for. And the first thing it will do is say, okay, you said you wanted to apply for a license. This is the company. That's the ownership information. You'll review this, the ownership type, the legal name, the FEIN number, headquarters. This is all populated from your registration initially when you registered your business. So this is not editable. And then you'll click next. Then the next option is, you've basically said, I want to apply for this license at this location. It takes you back to your accounts and says, okay, you haven't started this application yet. Here's the ones that you want to apply for. You click start application next to the license you want to start the application for. So to finish that slide, once you click start application, it walks you through all this stuff you're pretty similar to in ELAP. So yeah, thank you. Sorry, Jerica. It all the steps for applying for a license, telling us all about what's going on your premises, how long a license do you want, those kind of things. That's part of the application. So we're not going to walk you through all of that right now, but you can go ahead to the next slide, Jerica. So I'll say you have a license and you've applied for it, you've been approved, it's gone through your DRAM, it's gone through local. It's just like ELAPS. All those people have to approve your license if that's the license type that's required. You're in your GovConnectIowa account, and you're under the accounts tab, and you see you have your Class C license here, and it's an active license. If you see over on the right, it says renew license. That shows up 70 days before the expiration date. This is exactly the same as in ELAPS. In 70 days, you're able to renew your license. That link will show up. You can click on that and you can renew your license. It's similar to walking through your new app. It's just you'll answer the questions, and it's very straightforward, very simple. So that's the renewal process. If you want to change your license, I think Jarek but when you go to I want to, once you're logged into your GovConnect account, you can go to I want to, and one of those boxes, one of those many boxes with resources, one of them says amend a license. This is where you would make any changes you want to a license that you've already been issued. So under update premises and contact, you can update your premises. That would where you're adding floors or you're adding a space that you didn't have before. You can transfer your premises. You can update license contact information. That's a new feature. We didn't have that before. If you decide you want to change who's the main contact for your license, you can do that right there. The next box is update your dram shop policy if your dram shop carrier changes. You can modify your privileges. Your temporary outdoor service amendment is also included in that box down on the lower left. Unlicense your premises. That's for temporary. That's not for canceling a license, but that's similar to ELAPS also. And then there's also some resources. But this is where you're really going to be managing your license, other than renewing it. This is where you're going to be managing it during the year. Ownership update, if you notice, was not one of those amendments under amend your license, because ownership now affects not just your alcohol license. It also affects your lottery license, or your sales and use permits, or your tobacco licenses, because ownership now is the ownership for all these other licenses that you have. So you'll have to go to update information. Again, you'll go to I want to, and then you'll see the update information box, and you'll update your ownership from then. It's considered a license amendment, and it will go through the same process as it always has in ELAP, like it did in ELAPS, but it also affects other areas. So the ownership information link includes criminal history also for reporting. So if you're going to add an owner, it'll ask you about criminal history. Keep in mind that the users with full access are the only ones that can update ownership information. If you have administrative access, you will not be able to update your ownership information. So you might want to manage your logins appropriately. Now, say you want to cancel a license. Again, this is not under the amend a license box when you go to I want to, because there are other licenses now involved that you have. So if you want to cancel a license, you want to update information, that's the box you would go to under I want to, update information. You would go down to the bottom link there that says cancel an existing license or permit. The nice thing about this feature that we never had before is if you have, 5 alcohol licenses, you would have to cancel each one separately. You can now cancel all of your licenses and really all of your accounts, including sales and use and everything, all at the same time if you want, or you can just do one. So it's kind of a useful tool. So it should save you some time. It'll save us some time from reviewing all those cancellation requests. But yeah, it's going to be a nice feature, and I think you'll enjoy it. Filing tax reports. This, again, for those of you who have tax reports, these are not sales and use tax reports. We're talking about wine gallonage tax reports, beer barrel gallons reports. These are generally reported monthly in ELAPS. We'll talk a little bit about that change. There's a change to that, but essentially the reporting is the same. The requirements are the same. The format looks a little different, and you'll see it when you get in there. But essentially, it should be familiar to you. There's no really new information we're asking for. But what you'll do is once you're logged into GovConnectIowa, under your accounts page, you'll find your tax paying license. So in this case, it's a special Class A beer permit. That's the brewpub permit. And under the account, over on the right-hand side, just to the left, there's a blue hyperlink that says File, Amend, or View Your Tax Returns and Reports. So you'll just click into that, and then you'll see your tax reports. You'll see the reporting period you're supposed to be filing for, and you'll hit File Now, and you'll complete your tax report. So it's pretty seamless. It's always there. You can amend and file when you need to. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call. But that's how you get in there for your tax reports. So other new features, the public licensing database is a new feature. We had one before. It's very different. It looks a little different. It has a lot more information in it. So you'll be able to get in there and do your inquiries about public licenses, their statuses, those kinds of things. That also includes enforcement action searches. So you'll be able to find out what's any enforcement actions that are taking place against licensees also in that search. There's also a complaints submission for alcohol and lottery violations. Jerica talked about the send a message so that you can communicate with us directly. And then there's the view support ID, which is actually really nice from our standpoint. If we can view exactly what you guys are looking at, we can troubleshoot and help you understand what's going on if you have specific questions. So let's talk a little bit about what's changing, and this is primarily going to be for alcohol. So go ahead and go to the next one, Jerica. So beer and wine wholesalers, breweries, and wineries. So there has been a change in reporting that takes place on January 1st of 2026. So this upcoming January. So eligible licenses, and they're listed there: the Class A beer permits, the Class A wine permits, and the new permit, which we call our brew pub permit, the BP. You'll be able to request to file your taxes quarterly instead of monthly through GovConnectIowa starting in the January through March 2026 reporting period. To qualify for this, the licensee must expect to owe no more than $2,500 in gallonage tax for a fiscal year. So you'll have to apply for it. It will be verified, and then you'll be let you know whether you've qualified to be able to do quarterly reporting. So that's an option for you. But even if you qualify and you prefer to do it monthly, that's an option for you also. You can continue to do it monthly if you would like. Also, that's new is the TTB reporting is also going to be a part of your gallonage reporting. So at the end of your gallonage report, where you've given us all your gallons, right at the very end, it'll say, would you like to file your TTB report with us at this time? You don't have to. You can always file it at a later time, because sometimes your TTB report might not be ready because it might be quarterly. But you can do it at that time. There's no more sending emails. It's all a part of the reporting process in GovConnectIowa. And finally, and we talked about this very briefly, beginning November 3rd, which was on Monday, all brew pubs that were listed as a Class C license or a special Class C license with a sub permit, a special Class A sub permit. The sub permits have gone away as of Monday. So now there's just a BP permit, a special Class A beer permit. So if you're a brew pub, you'll now have a Class C license and a special Class A beer permit, BP, that goes next to it. They're standalone permits. They'll each have their own effective and expiration dates. You'll have to renew each one whenever they come up, but you're not able to hold the BP permit unless you have either a Class C or a special Class C retail alcohol license. So that's a little bit different. And also you need to remember, when you're doing your gallonage reporting will be reported under the BP license. That's your manufacturing permission. And that's where you provide your reports. Okay, next. So importers. So this has to do with the certificates, the brewer's certificate of compliance, the CB, the vintner's certificate of compliance, the CV, and the distiller's certificate of compliance. They no longer have to submit monthly reports to us beginning on Monday. So that's going to be huge for those of you who have them. Most of those are out of staters, but they don't need to submit monthly reports to us anymore. You do have an October 2025 report that's due, and those reports can be submitted to compliance@iowaabd.com. That's your final report, and then you're done. Some of you, if you have a CB or a CV or a CD, you have auto renewal, which is an option for these license types. None of those saved payments methods for those auto renewals have been saved. So if you want to continue auto renewal for your CV, CB, or CD, you need to get into GovConnect right away and update your payment method for that auto renewal. So on-premise and off-premise retailers, again, it's the same thing. There will be no saved payments for those who have auto renewal. This only applies to the Class E license because all the others are not eligible for auto renewal. But if you're a Class E licensee and you have auto renewal, If you're enrolled in that program, you need to log into GovConnectIowa as soon as you can and update your payment method for the auto renewal program. One thing that's really different is how we also process refunds as we've rolled out this latest version of GovConnectIowa. In the past, if you paid and then you had to cancel if you paid for a license and then halfway through the license you decide you need to cancel, you're eligible for a refund of the unused quarters of that license. Well, if a local authority was involved, we would refund the part that the state kept, and then the local authority was responsible for refunding you the part that they kept of your license fees, because they kept a portion and we kept a portion. Starting November 3rd, the state will refund to you as the licensee the entire amount, and we will even up with the local authority on the back end. It won't be for you to deal with anymore. You will get the full refund from the state. So it's a lot more business friendly, a little more convenient for you, and it works just fine for us. So that's a change. And then wine direct shippers, the only big change for the wine direct shippers is also that since they are eligible for auto renewal, they also will have to get into GovConnectIowa as soon as they can, and they will have to update their payment method for their auto renewal. That's really the only change for the wine direct shippers. And then I'm going to pass it back to Jerica, and she's going to talk to you about some resources. So,
Yeah,
Jerica?
absolutely. Thank you, Chuck. That was great. Appreciate that. I know a lot of you may be asking yourself here, wow, we just went through a lot of information in 40 minutes. What do I do now if I need help? So that's what I'm here for, is to talk you through some resources that you have. So the first thing that I will do is I will point you to our website. We did update quite a bit of our web pages with the November 3rd launch of GovConnectIowa. You will see some changes on revenue.iowa.gov/alcohol. Feel free to take a look at that. We also updated the GovConnectIowa page. If we have future webinars, you can also sign up through our website there. I will tell you that if you found this webinar helpful, if you think that a specific webinar about something specific, alcohol licensing, would be beneficial for you, I would recommend that you tell us that, whether it's through the chat now, if you want to send us an email. We do have some email addresses on that alcohol page that you can reach out to. And once we compile those responses, or if we hear from enough people, we will work with Iowa SourceLink and say, hey, we heard from this webinar that, we need to host another one with a very specific topic. We can do that for you, but we would need to hear that from you. So wanted to offer those different web pages. A lot of you may be familiar with our video tutorials. So we do have quite a few that are out here for you. To get to the video tutorials, you can do that through GovConnectIowa. You could go to YouTube, type in Iowa Department of Revenue. That's an option for you too. And ultimately, you will be able to see step-by-step instructions on how to get signed up, connect to your license, apply for a new alcohol license, and even more. We have quite a few videos out there for you, and we are also happy to help you over the phone if you'd like that too. Some of you may be asking about updates and how we send those out. A lot of times we do use the subscribe to updates feature, which uses a platform that's called GovDelivery. What GovDelivery allows you to do is to select different topics that we have. So I included some topics here: newsroom, tax information, GovConnectIowa. If you were to go to that link on our website, you would be able to see alcohol licensing as an option there. And that's how we would send information out to you. So again, how you get there is you would go to our main website, which is revenue.iowa.gov. If you scroll down, you can see this little panel here, or you can scroll down to the very bottom of the page and you'll see a link that says subscribe to updates. And if at any point, if you need help, what I will tell you is to contact us. I did include a link here for our primary call center. We call that Area Taxpayer Services. They do have a phone number and an email address. If you need help navigating GovConnectIowa, if you have general questions, we have an entire team of specialists there that are there to help you. If you have a question about your specific alcohol license and it's not so general, it's very specific, you can still use that resource resource, that licensing@iowaabd.com. They are there to help you. And then you may see on our website that we have an email, idr-cx@iowa.gov. That goes to our customer experience team, and they can also either assist you or navigate you in the right direction. So you have quite a few different resources. I do want to talk a little bit about our social media accounts. So we do try to post regularly on Facebook and LinkedIn, sometimes X, but that Facebook and LinkedIn is where you're going to find a primary link to updates that we have. So I would recommend getting out there and following us. If you see something where you're like, wow, I wish I had, a reminder. It would have been nice if I scrolled through this on social media. Feel free to send that to us too. And we will try to incorporate it. And we try to share information that is useful for you and focus on what helps you. And sometimes it's helpful for us to hear that feedback directly from you. So we do have about 10 minutes left here. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to stop sharing my screen here. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to take a quick look in the Q&A and see if there are any questions that I can answer live here. So the first one that I see here is, what link in GovConnectIowa do we use for submitting gallonage tax? So there is a link on the accounts tab where it says the file view. I think Chuck had shown that. That is where you can submit those reports. So I have some questions about training about insurance carrier verifications. We do plan to offer a webinar both for local authorities and for the insurance carriers in the future. So if that is something that you're interested in, please stay tuned, sign up for webinars, and we will be sending that out. There was a question saying, I have access to tax accounts and I also have one portal as the local authority. Do I need separate accounts? The answer to that is no. You actually don't need to have separate logon credentials for that. Now that we're all in GovConnectIowa, you can actually use the same logon for that. So that means the same username and password. So if you currently have two different usernames that you're using, I would recommend that you either call us, you send an email, and we can help you merge the two. What I would recommend is that you include both usernames if you have them. I would recommend probably contacting our CX team. So that's idr-cx@iowa.gov. And we have a team there that can help you manage your access and get those merged. So just looking through a few more questions here. Chuck, you may know the answer to this one, but if it's okay if you don't. Here, the question is, in ELAPS, money was pulled through our bank account through ACH by the Alcoholic Beverages Division. Where is this money being pulled from now? Is it now the Department of Revenue? Do you know the answer to that one?
Yeah, I do believe, it is the Department of Revenue. Usually we don't say, even in ELAPS, we didn't save bank accounts, so you had to put it in each time. So it would be through the Department of Revenue from now on, unless you're talking about automatic renewal, then those would be saved and those would be drawn through the account that you give us. So you have control over which accounts those are being pulled from. Again, you need to get there. If you're in the automatic renewal program, you need to log in and give us a new payment method as soon as you can, sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Chuck. I am looking through some of the other messages here. Bear with me. Okay, so I have one last question here. I will go ahead and pull it up. Oh, I apologize. One of the questions that came in, and it says, are the letters coming 7 to 10 days from today? My license was up for renewal the day that ELAPS retired. So we did send the letters out, so they should be coming. We've heard from some people that they're received within 2 days. Some it can take 10. If your license was up for renewal the day that ELAPS retired, Chuck, do you have any guidance on what they can do in that circumstance?
Yeah, so we didn't want the downtime between, ELAPS and GovConnect Iowa to be responsible for people not being able to renew their licenses. So if your license expired um, October 22nd through November 21st, we are extending your period to renew through November 21st. So if you missed your renewal and it's past your expiration date, don't stress. We've extended your renewal period. You just need to get into GovConnect whenever you can and renew your license. You have an extension.
Thank you, Chuck. I
You
appreciate
bet.
that.
You bet.
All right. Well, I will. I see that we have a lot of questions that are still out here. Thank you, Tara, for answering as many questions as you can there. We really appreciate you. For the rest of the questions, we will take a look at these, and we do see your names out there. We will do our best to update our website with guidance, and we may try to reach out to you. Feel free to contact us with your questions as well, and we can answer those directly. But I will go ahead and pass it back to the Iowa SourceLink team here. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Jericho. Real quick before you close stuff down, would you mind, one of the questions that we saw in the chat was just who do they contact with questions? Can you just give that information one more time for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest place for you to start is our taxpayer services team. So that phone number is 515-281-3114. Again, that phone number is 515-281-3114. Or you can email the Department of Revenue at idr@iowa.gov, and Iowa is spelled out. So idr@iowa.gov.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you to Chuck and Tara for being on, sharing this information, and answering everyone's questions regarding the GovConnect Iowa updates. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded and will be available to watch on our website or by first searching Iowa SourceLink on YouTube within the next week. Just like Jerica said, if your question was not answered today, we are going to share those questions with them. They're going to try their best to follow up with everyone's questions, but we got over 100 questions today on this webinar, so it might take them a couple days, so be patient on that. As a reminder, Iowa SourceLink does not provide a continuing education certificate for your attendance here today. We do, however, send out an email to everyone who participated within a few days after the webinar's conclusion that you can use as your proof of attendance. The next Iowa Department of Revenue webinar will actually be held a week from today on Wednesday, November 12th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us for an update on individual income taxes. Check out the registration link for more information by visiting iowasourcelink.com and navigating to our tax webinar page to sign up. Until next time, have a great rest of your day and thank you for joining us.